In our first story, hundreds of people have been displaced after a 50-minute heavy downpour at Damongo in the West Gonja municipality of the Savannah region. Help is yet to arrive, but the Regional Security Council has already declared it will embark on mass demolition of buildings in waterways. Let's get this report.
The rain started around 10 p.m. Wednesday night till about 5 a.m. on Thursday. Both public and private properties like bridges, schools, houses, including farmlands and shops, were affected. Maize and groundnut farms were equally flooded. The affected communities include Canteen, Redemption Town, Fire Service, Hunger Line, and Swalepe. But Fire Service and Redemption Town are the most affected. The two dams, Agric and Canteen in Damongo, that had no water suddenly became full after the downpour. Here are some affected residents.
Around 5 something, 5 to come there about that came. So gradually we were inside the house. When the water was coming, it got to the fence. We are still thinking that it's normal. That's where it's only level. So it moved into the yard, and later on got to the veranda. So we are still inside the and thinking that that's normal. So later moved into my house. So now currently everything inside my house is now flooded.
I think that the water will come and carry all of us. I was crying and we woke up everybody that they should come out. If not, it's no good. Me, I hold my child, I'm running away. They were calling me, I don't even mind them.
In the night.
In the night.
Personnel from the Ghana National Service who were called to the scene also shared their observations with JoyNews.
There is flood at Jamestown, Damongo, where the orphanage home is. So we quickly responded to their call. We came and no life has been affected so far, but I think about 5 or 4 buildings, including the orphanage home too, is affected. But no life has been lost so far. People's property too has partly damaged.
But the Savannah Regional Minister Said Muhazu Jibril said RECSEG had mapped out a plan to deal with the flooding in the community.
We have started slowly. We have started with this burning of charcoal, commercial charcoal burning, illegal logging, which the task force is working. It's in force. The next stage is to remove unauthorized buildings or structures because this is a regional capital where they're not supposed to be. That is we have had that meeting, obviously. The next stage of our operations is going to be removal of unauthorized structures where they are not supposed to be.
As at the time of filing this report, it was still drizzling with victims stranded with nowhere to go.
Now, Isaac Nonya is our correspondent in the Savannah region, and he joins in via Zoom now with updates. Isaac, how are all of these displaced persons coping? Right, Isaac, please unmute your microphone. Right, Isaac, go ahead. Isaac Nonya is our man in the Savannah region. He'll be joining us soon with updates on that flood. Like we reported earlier, no persons have lost their lives as of now, but many people have lost their livelihoods and their homes. We just want to get a picture of how these displaced persons are coping in the face of this crisis. Isaac, if you can hear me, what is the story with the displaced persons? Right, Isaac, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Great, great. Joining us via telephone now. Isaac, how are the displaced persons coping?
Many of them are still stranded in their homes because the waters are the places are yet to dry completely. They've cleaned, they scoop the water away, but once the rooms are still wet, the people that were met out in their homes were outside the rooms. They said they passed the night in the open, and many of the few men who were there, they relocated to the township. We also realized that houses around the Redeemer town, the play was deep inside the burrows, so they even just packed out and left the houses empty. We couldn't see anybody. The few women and children we also met there said that they are yet to receive anything at all, any help from any corner within the municipality. So now the people are still stranded, they have not gotten any relief, and they are coping within the same environment that we saw yesterday.
Now, an orphanage in the area, we understand, has also been affected. What did you see?
Yes, this is an orphanage that keeps about 52 children. Many of them are still young ones. And when I got there, they have a pure water manufacturing machine and then a borehole. The two were submerged yesterday by the flood. And as a result of that, the homeowner said everything has come to standstill, it is destroyed. Their source of livelihood is gone, and the foundation of one of the buildings where they are using as both classroom and living accommodation, it is gone. Now they are looking for two things: the pure water factory, including the borehole, and that of the classroom. At the same time, that same also serves as the dormitory is also threatened. So now they are hot, and are looking forward to see how they can restructure the building before going to work on the water and then the pure water machine.
So, Isaac, has NADMO been to the area, and how has support for the affected been?
We met a skeleton of NADMO staff yesterday at Redeemer town, but we are told by residents that they visited them around the fire service. When I asked this morning, it appears they have not gotten any support from NADMO. The sources within NADMO say that their stores are empty, they don't have anything, and they are looking up to the MP of the area, Abu Jinapo, who might give them something to get back to these people. Until that, the people are helpless. NADMO itself is helpless.
Have you heard anything about the Savannah Region Security Council's plan to embark on mass demolition of buildings in waterways?
Yes, Jojo. As we speak, any moment from now, the rest led by the regional minister, Said Mohazi Jibril, will be moving first to the Redeemer town before going to Alasa Kura and Kanti and that of the fire service. We are told the demolition, if or anything, will start from Redeemer town. That is the flood zone. They were hardly hit. So the demolition will start from there before they move to the fire service and come back to Alasa Kura, where they remove all those structures on the waterway.
Thank you very much, Isaac Noya, for joining us. Now, Mohammed Tohir is the Savannah Regional Director of NADMO. He also joins us via phone to talk relief for the victims of the floods. Mr. Tohir, how many people have been affected?
Hello.
Right. If you can hear me, sir, how many people have been affected?
Hundreds of people so far are affected by the flood that we witnessed yesterday.
Do you have a number that's more specific? Is it 500? Is it 900? Is it 200?
Yeah, I'm still in talks with the municipal director. They are still recording, but so far we recorded more than 200 affected victims.
What kind of support have you been able to give?
For now, we are taking this record, and after taking this record, we liaise with appropriate agency to see how best they can help us help the affected victims. Earlier, when the storm disaster hit us, we called the MP, Abu Jinapo, who came to the aid of all the affected persons. But this thing happened just yesterday, so we are still counting and then taking the records to see how best we can liaise with him once again to come to our support.
Now, the Ghana Meteorological Agency has reported that in this month, we should not expect heavy rains. They, however, said that in the next month, going into August, the rains will get heavier. When this situation proves to be true, what are we to expect?
In fact, this is the first time so far in 15 years, my 15 years stay in the regional capital, Damongo, we've never witnessed such rain. And I remember when the storm hit the township, I went with the regional minister. And fortunately, we saw some development going on along the waterway. Minister cautioned some of the developers, where you people are building will not be good for you and then the entire community. So we will liaise with the town and country planners to relocate you people for your own safety and the safety of the township. Lo and behold, less than 2 weeks, it has happened. And it has swept away their building blocks and the seaside that they keep to develop there. So far, we identified some structures that are on the waterway, which impede free flow of water. And as we expect more rain, these structures have to be removed. And then even those who still have intention of developing, we will advise town and country planners, engineers, for them to relocate them for their own safety and the safety of the generality of the people in Damongo Township.
Do you know when this planned demolition will start?
Actually, I'm in touch with the regional minister. And then as soon as possible, we will do it.
As soon as possible being in the next month, the next week, or?
Yeah. You know, we are in May. Very soon, the heavy rains will start. I think that one will depend on the other stakeholders. You know, it's not only NADMO that takes that decision. Yeah.
Okay. Mohammed Tohir, thank you very much for joining us this morning on News Desk. Let's move to other stories. And the National Security Secretariat says it has launched investigations into the alleged assault of City FM journalist Caleb Kuda. Mr. Kuda, who was arrested for filming abandoned state vehicles at a national security facility, says the operatives pushed and kicked him in the groins. That's not all. He also claims he was slapped repeatedly by the operatives until he felt dizzy. In a statement, Chief Director of the National Security Secretariat, Lieutenant Colonel Ababio Siribo, retired, indicates Mr. Kuda gained access into the National Security Building through false pretense. The statement by the National Security reads, the Ministry of National Security has taken note of claims by Mr. Caleb Kuda and Ms. Zoe Abubedu, journalists from City FM, that they were manhandled during an interrogation at the ministry on May 11, 2011. The protection of the rights and freedoms of the citizenry remains a cornerstone to safeguarding the peace and stability of the state. Cognizant of the aforementioned, the ministry strives at all times to uphold the ethics and professional standards guiding operational duties. This includes, but is not limited to, interrogation processes for persons who are required to assist in investigations. It is worth noting that the interrogation of the two journalists was necessitated by the following. First, Mr. Kuda was detected on said day filming within the precincts of a national security installation, contrary to the no photography rules at such restricted security zones. Upon interrogation, it was revealed that Mr. Kuda had gained access to the premises under false pretense. It was also revealed that Mr. Kuda had forwarded the footages he had taken surreptitiously to Ms. Zoe Abubedu. Upon declining an invitation for an investigation, Ms. Abubedu was picked up by operatives of the ministry. The journalists were released on the same day after interrogation. On Zoom this morning, we have Kweku Segbefia, who is with Occupy Ghana. Now, let's take your initial comments on the statement, Mr. Segbefia.
We reviewed the statement ourselves, and we noticed, especially in the second page of the statement, how the ministry was trying to downplay an action that goes against the tenets of democracy, common sense, and basic human rights respect. And this is exactly the posture of the national security over the 29 years of our democratic experiment. He called the Guantanamo Bay style treatment of Caleb Kuda and interrogation as if it was no import. Talked about their release as if the conversation was nothing but the meeting of friends, and then afterwards he was released. But if he knows, if the Lieutenant Colonel Srebo is aware that they were released the same day, then he is also aware that for 5 hours under handcuffs, Caleb was beaten, slapped, kicked in the groin, and beating in his kidneys and in his back for 5 grueling hours without access to any, lawyer at all. So our reaction to that statement is that 1, it's not new. 2, the national security always issues statements of this. 3, it doesn't go anywhere after that. And so if we don't have an independent inquiry issuing that statement, we treat their response with the contempt it deserves. Before we go further, Mr. Secretary, let's listen to Caleb's recount of his audio.
Getting the forced entry or something like that. So then they take me to the police post where we met DSP Azugu. By this time, the gentleman in plain clothes had gone ahead of us to tell everybody that I had come there, I had breached the protocols, and I was trying to cause them some chaos and trouble. So all the police officers there became very agitated and aggressive towards me.
So the way he reported what you were doing got them angry.
Yes, infuriated. And so they took me to a smaller office. I showed them my ID card to tell them that, look, I'm from City. I agree. I shouldn't have taken them. Let's delete it and please let me go. But they wouldn't. They took me to see Azugu. I showed him my ID card. He said, where are you from? I said, City. Who do you know? I said, Richard Mensah. Then he called Richard. I didn't even give Richard's number. He called OJ. And so by the time he spoke to OJ, in my mind, then it was going to be sorted. By this time, they had taken my phone and they were looking through my chats. And they found out that I had sent photos to Zoe. That is when the gentleman started chatting Zoe as though I was the one talking to him. So around this time, they said, take a statement. They pushed me. I sat on a chair. They slapped me from the back. And they were...
Which of the people are you talking about?
The police officers. These are men in uniform. Some were bearded. They had guns.
Did you see any names?
Masks. Unfortunately, no. But I heard names like Osei and Ousu. Those are the names that I heard. So then...
And this is still in the small office?
This is still in small office, very close to
Azugu's office, near the mango tree?
Yes. So I saw a very elderly policeman. He looks like the traditional policeman you see, because these were younger, with beard, more brazen. I was trying to appeal to them that I've worked with police before. I've heard, just please sort of go out to them. But this time they had beaten him like, oh, but they was just still slapping me from the back. You'd be talking to another one, then someone would just come and slap you from the back, and you feel dizzy at once. And it's like, it was so fast.
In that same space? At this point, had they handcuffed you?
At this point, they had handcuffed me, and every now and again, one will come and press it harder so that I feel the head. I was so thirsty. One guy came in, he was like, oh, Caleb. Then he got me water. Even drinking the water was difficult.
Because of the way the handcuff was. Did you speak to Azugu?
Yeah, after he spoke to OJ, he didn't deal with me much. He was very angry because the guy had really, really worked him up, and he was so sure that I was just there to cause mayhem for them.
Let me get back to you on this, Mr. Segbefia. Now, we can't, as a media house, discount the fact that this is still one person's experience. This is still one person's account. Should we not wait for the investigations to be carried out before we also, jump to a conclusion?
Well, until the national security brings further and better, more intelligent evidences, we are inclined to take Caleb Kuda at his word and to believe his and Zoe Abubeidu's rendition of what happened. We have absolutely no reason to doubt the authenticity of their account and the allegations that they provided, or the allegations that they are making. And the reason why we do so is because these are journalists. We trust them. And typically, They have done their work. I mean, there's no history involving any of them where they have been at the forefront of propaganda. So definitely, we believe them unless we have better, and further evidences to the contrary. The National Security Ministry's response only makes it worse because it comes from a position of arrogance, a position where it does not even believe that it should extend to citizens a certain belief of intelligence. That it also comes in that their word is more acceptable than the word of a seasoned journalist. And since human rights violations have been, perpetuated upon this person, we are inclined to take the side of the weaker person unless the national security themselves can provide footages, evidences, irrefutable evidences that everything the gentleman has said didn't happen in the exact same way he said it. And so based on that, their response does not even help things make things better. But for us, it's the almost the well-nigh demonic way in which they attack the gentleman. Imagine this: he is not armed. He doesn't even have a stick in his defense. You have handcuffed him. You are beating him up. He's pleading with you to let him go. You keep beating him. You keep insisting. This is in a Holocaust camp. I don't think they would handcuff you when they do this to you. And if this doesn't shock us as a country, then nothing else will. This is well-nigh satanic. How do you do that to an unarmed journalist? And this is a journalist, somebody with a voice, someone with platform, someone with some power as the fourth estate. Do you have any idea what will happen to a person if that person didn't have the kind of privileges that Lekuda has? And this must not be tolerated and countenanced in this country in any way. And what we are demanding is that these people, Lieutenant Colonel Ajiman, DSP Azugu, in whose office these atrocities were committed, all the named and unnamed people should be tried by the state for attempted murder. Are we waiting until if Caleb had died? Is that when we would have felt that this deserves the kind of reaction that Occupy Ghana has given to it? This is intolerable under any civil society. And that's why we refer to this as animalistic impunity. And it doesn't make sense. Why would you do this to anybody? Criminals have rights. You allege that the person has taken photography in an area that he's not supposed to take photography for. You haven't told the person what law. Simply because national security goes to write no photography on a building does not make that building exempt from journalistic interest. It doesn't. There's absolutely no law they have alleged have been broken at all. Even when the chief director himself responded, he responded to a rule. He didn't respond to any matter of law, any matter in the constitution, or any matter whatsoever in any known law in Ghana that forbids a person from filming if the person feels that this is in the national interest. And then on top of that, beating him up to the point where the gentleman even has difficulty drinking water. This is unheard of in any democratic institution. And if we do not deal with it, the attacks on our media will increase. And once the media leaves, that is when our democracy will come to an end.
JJ Segmefia, thank you very much for joining us this morning on News Desk. You're live on News Desk with me, Daniel Daze. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're live on News Desk. Let's move to other stories. And it's very common to see commercial transport drivers force as much fuel as possible into their tank each time they visit the fuel station. Of course, there are those called 1-gallon drivers who buy enough just to make one trip. But we sought to find out why some drivers who want to fill their tanks to the brim even shake their vehicles when it's full so they can take in some more. Here's what we got from some drivers at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle.
So I am here at the Circle Interchange, precisely Biakuya taxi station. I am here to speak to some drivers to understand the rationale behind when they are filling their tank, sometimes they fill it to the brim. What are the implications? Is it very healthy for the vehicle or not? So I am here to engage some of them briefly. So thank you very much for your time. And first of all, as I mentioned to you earlier, why do you do that? Why do some of the drivers do that? Why?
That one, if you do that, it's not good for me.
Okay.
If you do that and your this thing, your gauge go spoil. So if you fill the tank make full, then make full. Don't want to shake the car up and down like that. So that one there is not good for me.
So you don't do that yourself?
No.
So you feeling money and masana and consuming more. Inti uye juma kakra bia uto kakra bi gu super na asan ye mana ukọ wanim
na ebi mo ka say uye sana wo ma tank no pressure and it's a possibility for explosion. Do you know this?
Oh, enu mo de mi hu bi sada. Enu mo de mi nti bi sa. Enu mo de mi nti because the ye ni anim ni say eye ma mo a. Wow. Say ukọ filling station say o kwa akoto a. Uto kakra bi gu so na ere na asan ye manti. E ma ye nya eso mfaso.
Say wa fele. O fele a instead of obeko filling station, what tank no be a why you the whole day. Obeto 150 Ghana diesel. What fele no, ubetimi ato 120. Ebe ma 30 Ghana ni o profit. Entina ma eya fele. Diesel gauge na Dakar ni mo no. Say o fele na be say a ene nka hu hia say diesel gauge beto car because diesel gauge no ye den ekọ diesel na se.
O ye no short so a. Short
no how one gets a driver no because we the drivers no truck drivers no always we are in a hurry.
Maybe they may
pa. And then no can say you are still doing it.
Mechanics you no picanto no.
I don't know yes.
Mechanic a slow tank.
Okay.
So me this will say oh yeah, sisi na I am but me food gina dua so dia na me bugu ma na me wo so na it me call, but some man is from Sina, we are bay ma, and so now, and yeah, ma say, is it so dear, may also be a bear say, it's from now, never a yamma, Nami is Miss Diaswa, I am out for mono, me food you and be a bear 40 ebecum.
The risk is that we forget what me say. Others are also saying, say, a debit me because what the pressure my full tank.
But my yes, I bear say, a bear 3 years. Me gauge and say
technical unit there obroni anye say yen wo so no me hu obroni bi a wa wo so no na yi
but so you've not done that before yourself?
No nti me duru filling station na omo yes a it hit me to say omo yes a
say ya makra na ehwe egu a wo so na tank na san say ya ma ubua na ya ma esiwa abon say adnan say ekọ twekọ enti ebetwe akosa no na se woso na mot mi koso because eyensuo
it's dangerous for the car. Yes, I dangerous for the car.
Oh yeah, they want to say yeah, for say I am married. Gauge no go from the papa. Gauge no go from so be nante na gauge no e de ba bi da. Sa na e pe no.
Information tank we be about consume more fuel. Or say we fill to the brim. So on.
But you see, it has problems for your car.
There's nothing like that. I don't think there's any problem with that.
You don't think there's any problem? Yeah. Your fuel gauge will get destroyed.
Fuel gauge na best any moment bua me more. It was a major the whole day no. Kakra bi na de meto.
So it's more like saving costs with that.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So these are the views of some taxi drivers here. In fact, it's they have divergent views. It's varied. Some say, well, it's a good thing. They like to do it because it's going to save cost. Others also are of the view that it is not healthy for the vehicle. It is not a good thing, and they are cautioning their drivers against such practice. So the drivers themselves are disagreeing over whether or not it is good for you to fill your tank to the brim. But of course, for us who are just engaging, we will speak to the experts and get some understanding as to why this is the situation. I am Kwesi Parker Wilson, and this is JoyNews.
Back to studio now, and I have a question. Are you happy? Well, I'm asking this question because Ghana has been ranked 95th in the World Happiness Ranking put together by Gallup. This means Ghana has dropped 30 places from its 2020 place of 65th. Now, the researchers at Gallup who put the poll together say they looked at people's reaction to the effects of COVID-19 and also the economic situation of the countries they rated, as well as the fight against corruption. Now, Obabwaje took to the streets of Accra to ask people this simple question, whether they're happy. Here's what you said.
The woman say, okay, answer nipa when Nibedia a yosikasem or financials ya weniji. That's uniska, or peso quadu and Nicres canning honade aquaji. To me, who say, or mine and Casaya Becano cry, Yahuachiri. They say no master, or Massa covered be boom, dear best. They say, said no my corner. Me to me bedroom be my bedroom from Monday to Nay and Torre. To bed met Macquajimini. Tea and Nidiana de Oppo, but over cash because I can't be any ho. To me, who say I watch it and I'm into many and near Cofomono.
Oh, maybe idea Mamma Ninja Ghana. Ye twaba, ye be twaba, President for me, ye campaign. I say, Yanka de penny, I can't hear twaba you, but ye not twaba you, ma. Okay, come, Master, yes, ye bet you walk or two. Amu untimi nka omasem dom pe no moye entimi nka enti ye ni anije de watu abayi obi de ope no no so ayama na nso ani age ba ukoka no mo beche o traffic amunye kwan amunye hwe edu traffic man no mo ba ben no do mo fam ko ba na o de obedi ma no akodu fi anajo enti me de enema mani nye Ghana.
How many jobs has been collapsed ever since this president came into power? A lot. How many youths are getting jobs? Today, the rampant of armed robberies in our country right now is very bad. How many of our journalists are safe in this country? Ask yourself, you are a journalist, he is a photographer. How many of you are safe in this country? When you talk against this government, you will be murdered, which is very bad.
But who has?
Are we living in a country with fear, or we are living in a country where we are supposed to be safe? The commander-in-chief of the armed forces is our president, and our vice president also has a responsibility in our police service. Where are we going? Where are we heading towards? Are we supposed to live in fear in our own country, or we are supposed to be happy in our own country? So if there is demonstration, can't Ghanaians demonstrate for their rights? How many journalists have been murdered? The one who murdered Ahmed Swali, has the culprit been found? No. So if we are unhappy in this country, we are unhappy because our country is not safe.
Our expectation hasn't been in that level, because if you claim say somebody more or less eats corruption, baths corruption, sleeps on the bed of corruption, then you come and you have even done worse than is expected of no. Then that means I see no reason why we should even vote in the first place to change the government. Because the direction in which Mama was taking this nation is more or less far better than what we are experiencing now. Because we wake up in the morning, left and right center, people are making abnormal and unusual money that they are not even working for. You understand? I'm not trying to sound pure political. I know it's a political talk, I'm doing that, but I'm not trying to sound pure political. But if you weigh and compare the way this government is running this whole country, meaning if you are not part of them, you have no share in this country.
Ghana memu onye de CCI yewe yepe insese bebre nyame adoma nyame nam na nado duma insesa nkakakra aba na emo mo ha o ma adwene pa wo school no free education onhwe na nyama nkwaye sane de mo foma no ibinim ko woba no wobetine fia abosome baasa anan anawasa na bonde addition na wosua ni na ayabasa ti yesre de onhwe na one corner straight to the first ma wakon inyiza oho mapa manim.
You're live on News Desk. Let's now talk tech with Kobe Spikey. And Kobe is with me in studios. We'll be talking about a new feature that Twitter has that will make it easier for you to search your DMs. But let's start off, Spikey, with TikTok.
Yes.
What's happening there?
So have you ever used that TikTok feature where you type some text and it's converted to speech? Mm-hmm. So, you know, that text-to-speech feature where my brother is not this, and it sounds very robotic, you know, that kind of thing. And the lady whose voice was used, the voice actor whose voice was used,
they're standing.
TikTok didn't ask her for her permission to use that. And so she's suing TikTok.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, because she feels that it may have an effect on other voice acting deals that she may do in the future. Because her voice has become very, you know, obvious right now. I'm sure if she was talking in the lobby and then you heard her, you'd be like, who's watching a TikTok video? You know what I mean? Yeah. And she's very concerned about that, so she's suing them. And then some people are also using it to say certain things that she doesn't like. You know, like, it's text-to-speech. So someone can type anything and then it will actually say it.
Exactly. And I was reading earlier that it's actually being used to repeat some foul and offensive language, which could change the way people think about it.
So that's been her challenge, really. And
it reminds me of, I mean, the first time I met Mama V also Abuaje. You know, Mama V has been used to say your credit is not sufficient to call this number.
Yeah.
On one of our mobile networks.
Wonder.
So I had a bit of dislike for that for that voice. I can understand Beth standing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, she's upset and then she says she's going to sue.
So what's hacking with hacking this Colonial Pipeline?
Yes, so it was in the news that some hackers, you know, hacked the Colonial Pipeline, which is an oil pipeline carrying fuel, and it caused fuel prices in the US to hike. The pipeline was even shut down, and this hasn't happened in a long time.
No, wait, Spike, you have to explain this for me.
Right.
How do you hack a pipeline? But it's a pipe.
Yeah.
How do you hack it?
So it's a pipe, yes, but there are computers that control the flow. There are computers that, you know, control the pressure and everything. I'm not an engineer, but I can definitely say that if you let that thing work on its own, sometimes, imagine if a certain side of the pipeline was leaking, you would not know exactly where. Exactly. Sometimes, you know, people have to call Ghana Water and say, there's a pipe burst here. If they had sensors there that could detect that the pressure of the water had dropped there, then
they could remotely control it.
And then they could go there, maybe shut off or divert the flow through somewhere else so that it doesn't. Yeah, so you have all these systems that have been set up for that. And as a result, they are controlled by computers. And if that computer is hacked, and ransomware is installed on it, ransomware being the kind of software that encrypts all the files and asks you to pay a ransom before they release it.
Oh, okay.
And that's what happened.
They basically lock your house and tell you to pay before you can give you the keys.
Exactly. You can't even break in because they've pretty much built another wall around your own wall, so you can't even get in.
So Spikey, who did this? Who did this hack?
So, Darkside. They are hackers.
Look at the name.
Yeah, Darkside.
Darkside.
So cool.
Reminds me of a bad guy in
Avengers.
Avengers.
No, it's actually
no. It's actually
Justice League. Yes.
Darkside. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Okay, have they come to apologize?
So they hacked, and initially the pipeline company said they didn't pay the ransom. Said we're not going to pay, but they've paid $5 million, and they actually paid like 3 hours into it. And Darkside has come back to apologize. They said they didn't apologize to the company they hacked. They apologized to everybody else because they said they are apolitical. And they didn't expect it to have a social impact. They didn't expect what they did to have a social impact. They're just in it to make the money. I mean, we came to make our $5 million. We're sorry if you couldn't, you know, buy fuel, but yeah, next time we'll make sure that it doesn't happen like that to affect you. Another thing is, it's worrying that they actually got the ransom because it means that anyone is going to be inspired to try and do something similar.
To try that, yeah, especially when now Darkside has become such a public brand, but we don't know the people behind it.
Well, they're suspecting that they're from Russia.
Interesting. Suspecting. I won't say anything about
that. Joe Biden did say it in a statement that we're not accusing the Russian government, but we suspect that the perpetrators are based in Russia.
Okay. I'm just curious if the oil prices have stabilized after they were paid there.
Well, they're now switching back on, and it's not like a light switcher, they can just flip it in. So they have to, everything goes on small. So
when the flow of oil is stabilized, I'm sure that it will affect it, because it affects us here in Ghana. The oil price.
Is that what affected us?
Well, that's another thing. So tell me about my DMs. Yes. What's new about it?
You use an Android, don't you?
I do.
You know how difficult it is and very annoying if you're looking for that conversation you had with someone on Twitter. You have to scroll. And someone you're a public figure, you're a celebrity. You probably get a lot of DMs.
I'm a journalist, please.
Celebrity journalist. You're on TV. People are sending you DMs. Oh, hi, Daniel Daddy, I'd like to da-da-da. And there's so many of those messages. And you can't search. It's very difficult. On your WhatsApp messages, you can just go to search and find that conversation. You can actually even type a specific line and it would find that conversation for you.
Like WhatsApp?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So now, in Twitter, they're introducing that feature. It's already been available for iOS users.
Okay.
And I'm sure they are probably grinning and saying, ha, ha, ha. But yeah, we're now getting it on Android. They're starting off first. You can search for users who've DM'd you.
Okay.
Then later on this year, they will include a search by phrase, search by keywords. Then yeah, you can find stuff in your DMs.
Sounds very convenient.
It is very convenient.
Go and look for $1 million in my DMs.
If someone offered you.
If someone offered me,
that could actually be a scam, I'm Prince of, and I've inherited $1 million, but I've chosen you. To get that $1 million.
Thank you very much. May you win $1 million at random.
Amen. This weekend.
All right then. You're still live on News Desk. It's time for business. Stay with us.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Standards Authority has set standards to regulate buying and selling of eggs. This means that the pricing of eggs and the kind of eggs sold on the market will be guided by the standards. The Egg Sellers Association of Ghana, in collaboration with the Ghana Poultry Project and other key value chain players, organized a forum to disseminate the information on the standards for edible eggs. Here's more in this report.
Selling eggs, it is important that they are evaluated for exterior and interior quality in order to identify and remove the ones below standard. The formulated standard is to ensure that there are no substandard eggs on the market, as well as providing value for money for buyers and sellers. Scientific officer at the Ghana Standards Authority, Samuel Kwetia, has been taking some of the industry players on what the expectations of the Ghana Standards Authority are.
The GS 1261 specification for edible eggs in shell specifies the requirements and then the methods of test for edible eggs in shell that are fixed for human consumption and then for the food, and then document that covers the safety and suitability of the eggs. So the breeding flocks that are used, or the layers that are being used to even produce the eggs, we should make sure that they are healthy. Eggs shall be of the normal original taste from the bird in particular. If the egg is fortified during poultry feeding practices, this should be properly stated on the pack.
President of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association, Michael Nyako Ampem, welcomes the move, but however says it is not an immediate solution to egg glut.
It's good, very good for the industry. Howbeit, members have to adjust to it because it's a new thing, and you know that once it's a new thing, and we are a bit slow to change, and then so the farmers will have to change, the consumers will have to change. The standards may not necessarily solve the problem of the egg glut. The egg glut will be solved by we understanding that eggs are good for us, and so we eat it. Those misconceptions and the myths that we had concerning eggs, once we lay them aside, then we'll be in a position to increase the consumption of eggs, and then the egg glut will be dealt with. The other side of it is to also look at processing the egg in the long term. when we're able to do that, then we know that gradually the issue of egg glut will no longer exist.
Chief of Party for the Ghana Poultry Project, Karianne Debois, disclosed that her outfit looks to build capacity for players in the poultry value chain.
Our role here was to really build the capacity of the value chain actors on how to advocate for what they want and how to be there to work together with the government to make sure that everybody is having their say in in the standards, because they are the ones who are going to use it in the future. Okay, our mandate is that the poultry sector in Ghana is becoming more competitive. So we are working on improvement of production areas. This might be record keeping, biosecurities, but also the standards and the policies.
In other news this morning, the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, has debunked claims that it is shifting to real estate development. According to the General Manager for Agribusiness at ADB, Kwame Esiedu-Atrams, the bank has invested about 600 million cedis in the agri sector.
Some farmers allege that banks are not granting them loans. According to them, some banks deny them outright, whereas others drag the application process. Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, is one of the banks mentioned by the farmers. In response to the claims, General Manager for Agribusiness at ADB, Kwame Esiedu-Atrams, emphatically stated that claims that the bank is shifting to real estate development is false.
It is most pathetic to hear that a farmer would claim that the Agricultural Development Bank would deny him credit and indicate to him that if he were into real estate, he would stand a better chance of financing. That, I dare say, is a palpable falsity. It isn't true. It isn't true because, yes, ADB is a universal bank, and therefore we do everything banking. We finance all players within all the sectors. However, it is an agricultural bank, with a universal bank with an agricultural focus, and therefore our priority areas are into the agri value chains, right? And given that that is a priority, as of now, as we speak, we have over 600, close to 600 million invested in agriculture in Ghana.
Meanwhile, Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, an institution responsible for guaranteeing financial institutions against agricultural loans, has advised farmers to get basic knowledge about the loan they apply for and the banks they go to. According to senior agribusiness specialist at GESAL, Tichisraha, the farmers go with unrealistic proposals, hence making it difficult for the banks to support them.
They have to understand the requirements of the bank, because some of these challenges of farmers not accessing credit normally is due to the fact that the farmers who are on the demand side also don't understand the requirements of these financial institutions, and as a result they send proposals that are not able to meet the requirements of this financial institution.
And that's all in business for now. The news continues after the break.
You're live on JoyNews Desk. Now, Fan Swim School has been crowned champions of the Central Region at the Science and Maths Quiz Regional Contest. The two-time winners proved to be an unstoppable force as they dominated the 4 rounds of the contest. At the end of the final round, Fan Swim School had 53 points, Adisado College 35, University Practice SHS 20, Nasin State College 18. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
I know Boche. I know Kenya. I know Noite. Easy. Designer, Boche Bessa. Designer. Me say designer, Boche Bessa. Boche Bessa. Designer, Boche Bessa. Designer, Boche na 2 na 3 na half na 1.5 ah boche it's killing me it's killing me boche it's killing me
And that is the victorious Infancy School team after winning in that dramatic comeback against St. Augustine's College and Wesley Girls, and in the finals against Adisadel College. I know George Adi Jr. has a lot to say, but George, it's time for sports.
But you know, I like the National Science and Maths quiz. It's a sport on its own.
It's like Christmas. Kind of it's like Christmas. You know, I'm so excited.
So that was Infanspim, you know, jubilating, celebrating after winning the regional championship.
After beating Adisadel College, let's be minded. After beating St. Augustine's College, Wesley Girls High School in the semis, and then Adisadel in the finals.
You know, if the Presec boys sing Jama and dance like this after winning a regional championship, they will be called. Yeah, the DC will deal with them because we are very focused to win the national titles. Congratulations on winning a regional title, as always.
Unbeaten at Disco, Ogasco, and Wesley Girls. That's what we're celebrating.
Ogasco, Adisco, Wesley Girls, and Infanspim together have no grounding when it comes to the National Science and Maths quiz. So, congratulations once again for being regional champions, as always. We will see you in the national.
I must be humble enough to say that this is not an as always thing.
Because
we haven't always won. We won in Ogasco won in 2019. And then Wesley Girls won in 2020.
I can understand the struggle.
And now we are winning in 2021. So for us, we like it. We like it.
Yeah.
We are very happy. Thank you very much.
I understand. So, Presec.
But see you in the finals. The national championship.
Say it, we are coming to the tournament. Now the final day, you're not there yet.
The national championship.
Now you are.
Yeah, that we gracefully qualified to.
We'll see you there.
Yes.
If we talk about the final, it means you want to be in the final 3. That's a different matter.
But it will be interesting. You know, the Greater Accra Regional final is Presec. The Greater Accra Regional champion.
That one is always there. Hasn't even changed before. It's always there.
And then the Central Region champion is Infanspim. So there needs to be an opportunity for these two schools to flex their muscle.
So fix 7. Let's fix 7. That's what we are doing. We are fixing 7. Oh, I just had to tell you about the games to come.
Tell me quickly.
Winning 7th National Science and Maths title. There's an FA Cup final between Chelsea and Leicester City tomorrow. That's at Wembley. That's one of the big games. The La Liga title race is still right.
Chelsea is doing a lot of work. They've played City already in the Premiership.
Yes, and we play Leicester City FA Cup. We'll play Leicester again in the Premier League and then play Manchester City in the Champions League final. Congratulations. Now you
should be praying for Chelsea, not Chris.
Oh yeah, but congratulations, Liverpool. It looks like you can now qualify for the Champions League. You have to win your next 3 games.